Here are the top stories for today, October 13, 2021. Severe tropical storm Maring leaves at least 13 dead after dumping heavy rains over parts of northern Luzon. The storm also caused close to 500 million pesos worth of damage to agriculture. Malacanang calls on a group of journalists to respect its view over Maria Ressa's Nobel Peace Prize win. It reiterates there is no stifling of freedom of speech in the country. The Interior Department has a stern warning for poll candidates: don't give in to extortion demands from communist terrorists or face disqualification. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The death toll from the onslaught of severe tropical storm Maring has climbed to 13. In the latest advisory of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, 2 fatalities are from Ilocos Sur, 1 from Cagayan, 4 from Palawan, 5 from Benguet, and 1 from Baguio City are undergoing validation. Meanwhile, the number of missing persons has reached 9. 5 from Palawan, 2 from Baguio City, 1 from Pangasinan, and 1 from Ilocos Norte. 3 persons were injured in Baguio City. Maring has so far caused almost 493.8 million pesos worth of damage to agriculture in the Ilocos area, Cagayan Valley, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. More than 6,000 families have been affected, which is equivalent to 21,511 persons. Help is underway in storm-hit provinces in the northern Luzon. The Philippine Navy has deployed 2 disaster response and rescue teams to conduct rescue operations and relief missions. The first team is deployed to assist in road clearing operations in Barangay Palogan, Tagudin, Ilocos Sur, and in the hauling and distribution of relief goods in Barangay Pudo. The second team is composed of divers and equipped with rubber boats and outboard motors to conduct rescue operations in Barangay Sucoc, Sur, Luna, La Union. Navy reservists from Baguio City are also dispatched to help in the evacuation, search, and retrieval of victims flooding and landslides in the city. Meanwhile, the United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF, also said it is ready to extend its help for the victims of Maring. In a tweet, it says the organization is ready to provide humanitarian assistance when called upon by the government. And as for the members of the clergy, Baguio Diocese Social Action Director Father Noli Panayo is asking the faithful to continue to pray for one another, especially those who were badly affected by Maring. Reverend Father Andy Semana, Tuguegarao Archdiocese Social Action Director, said some 14 parishes were affected by the storm and that Tuguegarao Archbishop Ricardo Bacay has allocated funds for relief operations. Former Vice President and veteran broadcaster Noli De Castro announced that he will no longer push through with his senatorial bid. In a statement, De Castro said his aspirations for the country have not changed even if he withdrew from the senatorial race. De Castro filed his candidacy last week under Manila Mayor Isko Moreno's Acción Democrático party. De Castro, who is a devotee of the Black Nazarenes, said he prayed and asked for guidance on how he could help the country further and decided he will use his voice as a broadcaster to air the sentiments of the people. He thanked Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso and the political party for their trust and support. In an interview, Moreno said the veteran broadcaster informed them that he will no longer run for personal reasons and they will respect that. Meanwhile, presidential aspirant Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, in an interview, said he is still hoping that Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte will replace him as the PDP Laban standard bearer. President Rodrigo Duterte earlier said he is hopeful that de la Rosa would have a fighting chance of winning the presidency since he felt it would benefit the country to have a military man as its leader. The latest SWS survey reached out to Filipinos to know more about their thoughts about the current COVID-19 pandemic. The non-commissioned survey conducted from September 12 to 16 shows that 91% of adult Filipinos are worried that anyone in their family might catch COVID-19. This is a 4-point increase from the 87% in June. The survey also shows that 60% of Filipinos think that the worst of the pandemic is yet to come, compared to 47% in September last year. Meanwhile, the government is stepping up its vaccination drive as more and more COVID-19 jabs arrive. During the arrival of 272,610 Pfizer vaccines last Monday, Assistant Secretary Wilben Mayor of the National Task Force Against COVID-19 urged local government units to increase their COVID-19 vaccination numbers to achieve 80% population protection soon. The government has also allotted vaccines for the pilot inoculation of the younger population. Meanwhile, a lawmaker is pushing for the lifting of the quarantine and RT-PCR test requirements for vaccinated local and foreign tourists. Ang Provinciano Party List Representative Ronnie Ong is making the appeal, saying it is about time that the IATF should relax some restrictions for fully vaccinated tourists to start rebooting the tourism sector. He said that in doing so, all hotel staff, guides, drivers, and other tourism personnel must also be fully vaccinated, and that travelers are properly documented and properly monitored. They must also secure their pre-booked accommodations on hotels and lodging houses certified by the Department of Tourism or DOT. Despite a recent general decrease in COVID-19 active cases in Metro Manila, the Department of Health continues to caution the public against mass gatherings and continued observance of minimum public health standards. And as All Saints' Day is nearing, more local government units come up with measures to ensure that health protocols will be implemented. The details from Marita Mawahe.
In Nabunturan, Davao de Oro, all public and private cemeteries and memorial parks will be closed from October 29 to November 4. Residents can visit before or after the dates, but will need to follow the schedule of visitation, the use of the Stay Safe app, and the Undas Pass to fully implement social distancing, as the number of visitors shall be limited to a maximum of 30% of the venue capacity. Minimum health protocols will be strictly enforced, such as the wearing of face masks and face shields and the observance of social distancing. Meanwhile, all Catholic cemeteries in the Diocese of Legazpi will be closed from October 30 to November 3. Legazpi Bishop Joel Bailon said the measure seeks to contribute to efforts in preventing further spread of COVID-19. The Catholic prelate encouraged the faithful to visit their departed loved ones before or after the said dates. In Cebu City, the Archdiocese of Cebu proposes to open the cemeteries only for the vaccinated residents. The Emergency Operations Center said the city is open to adopting the idea of the Roman Catholic Church, but such a proposal is subject to Acting Mayor Michael Rama's approval. Meanwhile, the Metro Manila Council is urging all local government units to close cemeteries, memorial parks, and columbaria from the public for 5 days to avoid possible spikes in COVID-19 infections. The MMC, which is composed of the 17 NCR mayors and the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, has asked LGUs to enact ordinances or adopt resolutions restricting access to these locations for 5 days, starting on October 29 up to November 2. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Mawahe.
Still to come, the Duterte administration has spared no effort in protecting media workers in the last 5 years. And the country's capital city logs an increase in business registrations amid the pandemic. Details ahead, this is the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Munoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Kaya tayo na po't magparehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bansa. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
The government is eyeing additional options for internet connectivity to reach rural areas. The Philippine Space Agency is introducing the Incentivized project, which calls for new satellite internet operators to conduct test deployments in selected remote sites. This would allow the performance and viability of new and advanced technologies to be demonstrated, experienced, and assessed ahead of planned or scheduled commercial service. Philsa said satellite broadband exhibits a wide coverage, allowing connectivity to reach the rural areas while complementing existing fiber technology. The project introduces additional options for satellite communications to the local market to foster competition. The project may start with the remote communities that need internet connectivity. In Surigao del Norte, the Department of Information and Communications Technology in Region 13 said the province's 20 towns and 1 city are now connected to the agency's free Wi-Fi for all program. In Siargao Island, free Wi-Fi is available in Burgos, Dapa, Del Carmen, General Luna, Pilar, San Benito, San Isidro, and Santa Monica. More sites are coming as the DICT continues the rollout of the free Wi-Fi for all program. The free Wi-Fi is among the priority programs of the DICT that helps boost the connectivity of local government units in the country. Over 155,000 indigent senior citizens in Caraga region have benefited from the Social Pension for Indigent Senior Citizens program during the first half of 2021. The Department of Social Welfare and Development in Region 13 said each beneficiary is entitled to 500 pesos monthly. Over 465 billion pesos was already released as pension to the elderly. The DSWD meanwhile said the validation of the list of indigent beneficiaries will continue for the succeeding payout. The distribution of the pension for the second semester is still ongoing. The Department of Transportation, Department of Labor and Employment, and other government agencies have teamed up to create a livelihood program for displaced drivers and other transport workers. The agencies held a virtual signing of a memorandum of agreement on the Supernur program on Tuesday. The program aims to ease the impact of the local public transport route plan or the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program on drivers and other affected workers. The program provides assistance which includes working capital, microinsurance, basic training, and continuing business and technical advisory services. Individuals selected for the program will receive livelihood assistance of up to 30,000 pesos, while groups such as transport cooperatives may receive up to 1 million pesos. The city government of Manila recorded a 45% increase in business registration as of the September 2021, despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Manila Bureau of Permits said the increase was from January to September as compared to the same period last year. Bureau of Permits Director Levi Facundo said they recorded over 6,300 new businesses during the first 7 months of 2021 from 4,501 last year. He said the ease of doing business in the capital city was streamlined via the online application Go Manila. The app allows business owners to submit and pay online and print their electronic statement of account and permit. Manila likewise implemented programs like Manila Support Local and Manila Restaurant Week, while Paskuhan sa Maynila, Maynilav, and Entreprenais provided spaces for business training and grants. Up next, poll bets are warned not to fall for extortion schemes of communist rebels. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom. The Department of the Interior and local government wants to stop local chief executives and candidates from giving extortion money to the CPP, NPA, NDF, especially with the election season nearing. DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya said they will be seeking for the disqualification of candidates who will be proven to have paid up communist terrorist groups so they can campaign in areas under the control of CPP, NPA, NDF elements. The National Intelligence Coordinating Agency revealed that CTGs rake in millions of pesos from politicians who wish to campaign in the rebels' jurisdiction. Malaya said aside from the disqualification, the agency may also file a case under the Terrorism Financing Prevention and Suppression Act of 2012 as giving extortion money to terrorists can be classified as a crime. 63 officials were monitored to have given extortion money to the CPP-NPA during the 2019 elections. The Police Regional Office 13 has condemned the Communist New People's Army for attacking government troopers who were involved in the delivery of services in Surigao del Norte. Surigao del Norte police troopers from the 30th Infantry Battalion and the local government unit of Sison were conducting barangayanihan in Barangay Iman when they were attacked by the NPA rebels on Monday afternoon. An army personnel was wounded in the encounter. PRO 13 Director Brigadier General Romeo Karamat Jr. said the attack proves that the CPP-NPA shows no respect for peace and are unmindful of the government's efforts to deliver services to communities. Meanwhile, in Negros Occidental, some 7 insurgency-cleared villages in Escalante City received farm tractors as part of the projects of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC. The tractors were turned over to barangays Paitan, Yanay, Mabini, Libertad, Pinapugasan, Udtongan, and Washington. The event marked the rollout of the Barangay Development Program, or BDP, in villages cleared of the influence of the CPP, NPA, NDF. Lieutenant Colonel J.J. Javines, commanding officer of 79th Infantry Battalion, welcomed the BDP as a response of the government to address the exploitation of the affected barangays. Meanwhile, the Northern Luzon Command, or NOLCOM, sees the Community Support Program as the key to defeat the communist terrorists in Northern and Central Luzon. For this year, 18 barangays in Northern and Central Luzon were each granted a 20 million peso fund for several community development projects under the BDP. The NOLCOM said instead of focusing solely on the military approach, they are addressing the issues that are being exploited by the communist rebels to deceive communities and gain their support. The Presidential Task Force on Media Security celebrated Monday as its 5th-year anniversary as the forefront agency of the government in defending press freedom in the Philippines. The PT-FOMS was created on October 11, 2016 as an interagency task force dedicated to ensure the safety of journalists against threats and violence. Undersecretary Joel C. Egco, Executive Director of the PT-FOMS, said the agency has been at the forefront in the fight to protect the life, liberty, and security of media workers in the Philippines. He said President Rodrigo Duterte ordered the creation of the PT-FOMS because he knows the importance of press freedom in a democratic society. Egco also said that during the pandemic, the PT-FOMS became more proactive in providing for the needs of media workers aside from ensuring their protection. He said the institutionalizing the task force will be one of his most important legacies in preserving Philippine democracy. The government's efforts under the Duterte administration stressed the need to safeguard Filipino media workers. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar said the creation of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security ensured that democracy remains vibrant. He noted how the PT-FOMS became instrumental in solving the Maguindanao massacre case and removing the Philippines from the list of the top 5 most dangerous countries for journalists in 2020. Meantime, Andanar said that the PCOO is not yet giving up on the legislation of Media Workers Welfare Bill, which is still pending at the Senate. Meanwhile, Malacanang maintained its stance on the awarding of Nobel Peace Prize to Filipino journalist Maria Ressa. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the Philippines is a democratic society and every view must be respected. Earlier, the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines schooled him about the censorship of journalists under the watch of President Rodrigo Duterte. The NUJP said the Philippine press has been under siege for the last 5 years. Roque maintained that while the palace congratulates Maria Ressa for winning the Nobel Prize Award, it also agrees with National Artist F. Sionil Jose's opinion that she does not deserve her award. He also backed Jose's statement that the Philippine press is alive. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Severe tropical storm Maring leaves at least 13 dead after dumping heavy rains over parts of northern Luzon. The storm also caused close to 500 million pesos worth of damage to agriculture. Malacanang calls on a group of journalists to respect its view over Maria Ressa's Nobel Peace Prize win. It reiterates there is no stifling of freedom of speech in the country. The Interior Department has a stern warning for poll candidates: don't give in to extortion demands from communist terrorists or face disqualification. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And 73 more days before Christmas is finally around the corner. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day. Stay safe, everyone.